Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bomber Banter. It is Fiona's forecast for our round 11 Dreamtime game against Richmond at the G. And thank God, the quicker we can do this forecast, the quicker we can forget that Saturday night against the Bulldogs ever happened. As per, I'm going to bring in my partner in crime. Solution, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. What a shit show that was. Congratulations on the fan cam afterwards. It's pretty clear losing's good for business from what I could see. There was some
therapy is definitely what that showed me is that people actually required some cathartic content and a space where they could cathart.
Yeah, not to mention trolls wanting to look in and enjoy the loss. Now, sorry, to keep mentioning the mask, it's not long for this world because I said at 1,000 subscribers I'd take it off. And you're not far away. So to everyone who watches this, like and subscribe and bell notification as well.
Please.
But Fiona's forecast, so straight into it.
Let's do it.
Forget the game. Projected changes.
I did the bloody post-replay review, and I can't believe I committed to doing that after it only came back to bite me in the second week of the show, the second week of the new show, and it bit me in the backside well and truly.
Yeah, I should – sorry to mention – I should mention too, last week, God knows why, like I actually thought our midfield might compete, and they did anything but. So after the game, it's one of those things where, we should drop these 15 players. They're shit. And then you realise, hang on, we got no one else to bring in.
Yeah.
Who do you think projecting might be the changes?
I mean, if the depth wasn't already strained before we had the injuries, adding 4-5 injuries to important players has just strained that depth even further. We already had no depth, and now it's just non-existent.
But hang on, is anyone injured from the weekend?
No.
Oh, you mean the previous, the current?
Yeah, I just mean like
yeah.
I just mean like we've never had great depth, to fall back on in the first place, and then we've got these 5-6 big injuries to important players, and that's just challenged the depth even further because. Yeah, we can drop all these people, we can drop all these players, but realistically, are you bringing in anybody better? Well, no. The clear answer is no. And the answer is that it's just a team with individuals that are just not up to it. The list is just not good enough. It is more about list than it is about structure and strategy because those are little things that can be tweaked. But to build a successful list where every single player has a role, is up to it, is focused, effort and intent and culture is built into their system, that takes time. Little tweaks of a game plan structure can be fixed relatively quickly. But this is going to take longer than we hoped and thought. And, I just think it's just another reminder of that was the game against the weekend. That's not taking away how near perfect the Dogs were. They were exceptional, beyond exceptional, and the far superior team we've faced to date, I would say. I don't know how you feel, having watched the game.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But on our podcast, we did our, list review where we send players to the knackery or we say, is a player a Group 1? We've got, let's just call them A-graders. We've got one A-grader, and maybe this is what we concluded, one A-grader and a couple of potentials, and that's basically it. And it just goes to show the list needs to be gutted.
Yeah. And, you can't do that in one go. We've come as close as you can do it in one go as possible, turning over 20 players in Brad Scott's time. So, or is it... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the number over since Brad Scott's been here. So, I mean, I know you don't want to keep saying it's going to take time, because that doesn't excuse how bad we were. I will say that. That doesn't excuse a 90-point difference. The Bulldogs were good, but not 90 points good. So don't think I'm, just glazing over the fact that we were absolutely played unacceptably and had some unacceptable moments. I just think, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, go.
With so many poor players, with so many poor efforts, is there anyone you would single out to drop? Or is it almost like there's so many of them that you just wipe the slate clean and say, start again?
Well, considering we've got nothing to replace, I would say no. The only foreseeable drop that I would do, given we have no injuries, is on account of Tom Lynch being out with concussion. I would drop him. I mean, I would drop a tall in the back line and I would drop Laverty.
And then who comes in? Maybe Sardis?
Sardis, Davey. I mean, I know that looks like a token gesture and probably a little bit hypocritical, just bringing in an Indigenous player for a Dreamtime round. But I want to see, are we going to cut him at the end of the year or are we not? Like, I want to see another small forward. I want to stop seeing Kako ping-ponging from up opponents and with no support whatsoever.
Yeah.
I just can't keep seeing that solution. So, yeah, Davey or Sardis to give him a run. But, I mean, that's too many midfielders. Look what happened, putting Hobbs in the forward line on Dale and making him play an accountable role. Like, I know we want to see Sardis, but...
Yeah, that was an unqualified non-success. That was a disaster.
That was a fail, a complete and utter fail. And I know you say to me, well, Fiona, who else would you have put there? Good. That's a very good question. I don't know. Why would you sub Al Hooley off? I said this in the post-replay review. Why sub Al Hooley off just to bring Shield on? What is the point of that? There's no injuries. Shield doesn't have to come on as a sub. Change Al Hooley onto Dale. I know it's not a position he's ever played, but what could that hurt? Like, at that point in time of the game, it was lost. Anyway, that's going on to the game. My projected changes is Laverty out, someone in.
So if that happens, is there a Houdini? I mean, there's probably 20 of them.
Let me ask you this. If Edwards was available, is Langford in this team?
No, I reckon. I reckon you're right. I think he'd be. Well, Langford is the sort of player that does not get dropped in a Brad Scott team. He does persevere with experience and I guess players that are well credentialed. And he really, I don't know. I can't really recall a good player getting knocked down to the twos. Can you? A quote unquote good player getting penalised for poor performance?
Not in a direct way. I reckon they've gone via injury. So they've either had an injury and then come back.
Like Peter Wright, for example, last year.
Peter Wright was
suspended and then, but that was on the back of his long suspension and then...
True.
Yeah, so I think you're right.
I think they've taken a route.
Yes, he doesn't make examples of players, at least not on the selection table. Maybe it happens at training. But I think Langford would play anyway, even if Edwards, to answer your original question. But he'll be my Houdini because, look, he's better than that. I know he's coming back from an injury and he's working his way back. But I think he's good enough and probably fit enough now to be able to impact the game better, more than he is at the moment. Yeah.
I always harp on about the legacy. Like, if you can't get into the game, do your best to pep up Kako and Caddy and be all really demonstrative out there with your leadership. If you're struggling with your body or you don't feel great, what's the next best thing that you can do?
He's never been a demonstrative player. So
No, when I say demonstrative, I don't mean like in a Toby Green style way. Like, I kind of mean just like getting their arm and just
bit
saying
of Harry
like,
Jones love.
yeah, but also in a focus way, in an encouragement way, like, but being a little bit more aggressive or an outward, let's just say, more an outwardly show of encouragement. Because I said this on the post replay review. It's not conscious. The players don't sit there and say, "Oh, Langford just went over to Kako and looked him in this square in the eye, so that's going to make me play better and dig deep." It's a subconscious thing. It's biology. You see an action and it travels to your brain, which then travels. A message travels to your brain, which then travels to your head, and then which travels to the heart, and then your body, and it's like a domino effect. But it's subconscious. So you just don't know what little things like that can do for the younger players,
It's just dawned on me, post replay review, you actually watched the replay.
Yeah.
You are a raging psychopath.
What do you think I was talking about at the start? Like, it got me good. Sick around of doing that show.
It's dawned on me having to... Did you surely? Please tell me you only watched it once.
Oh my God! Once, and I wanted to tear my eyeballs out. There's no way I could have watched that more than once. And usually, when I rewatch a game, I don't pick up my phone in between goals. Nothing. I'm immersed completely into the content. But during this game, every goal they kicked, and I allowed myself to pick up my phone and not have to watch the replay.
Well, then you would have had a sore arm from picking up your phone.
I just needed a bit of like a distance from what I was watching. It was horrendous viewing. Do not recommend. 0 stars.
Yeah, I reckon scrap the post replay review for the next month because it might get ugly. Yeah, although we've got a winnable game suddenly coming up. All right, we'll get there. Yeah. Smoking Joe and Sitting Joe. Now, for new listeners and or viewers, this is where we pick a player who we think will rise above their standard level and smoke, aka Joe Masidi, and the Sitting Joe is the Joe Danaher on the fence, playing below their ability. I had Peter Wright as a Smoking Joe, and yeah, he didn't have a great game, along with many of his teammates. And who did you have the Sitting Joe?
Is it Durham? I don't know. I forget. I have so much of my players.
I think it might have been Durham, and he was one of the few guys I think that can hold his head up high. In my opinion, do you disagree?
I think I could give him half a tick, but he's not one of the 4 that I mentioned. Got a pretty good tick in my book.
Okay,
maybe a half a tick. But on Peter Wright, and I did mention this last night, but he's just the victim at the moment of Draper and Bryan going down, because he's having to do so much more heavy lifting than he usually would with Draper in the team to help out Goldstein. So it's not like we can just plonk him in the forward line for a long period of time. Because, teams are double teaming him, triple teaming him sometimes because there's no other threats. Langford is so badly out of form. He's so easy to play against that teams are not even worrying about him. But Peter's having to do a lot more ruck work. That's not excusing him. He had some bad moments that he'd want to, forget, as did the rest of them. But, yeah, he's a bit of a victim of that at the moment. So that means I have the Smoking Joe this week. I really went pretty hard last night on Zach Merritt. I thought he was, it was a game he won't want to, or he'll struggle to do the review on it because...
He won our Henneman Award, by the way.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I haven't listened yet. He'll struggle to see some of the things, some of the moments. I thought he started the rot from the beginning. Again, subconsciously.
Exactly, yep.
Subconsciously, players would see that in him, someone who's always hitting the mark, who's most often than not putting in 100% effort, and subconsciously that is filtering down to them the younger boys anyway. And so I think I'm going to give him the smoking Joe, because I do not think he was poor last week. I don't think he had a great game last week against Sydney, but this on the weekend, was just a game we have not seen from him for years. So I'm picking him as my smoking Joe.
Do you think he's been helped by the fact that when he goes down the forward line, and, players are used to giving him the ball because he's obviously our best player, but when he's in the forward pocket and he's got 3 opponents on him, that's not the time to give him the ball, and that's not the time to kick to him. Do you think he's sort of forays down the forward line are helping at the moment?
I think it's helping him as a player. Firstly, he can get a bit of reprieve without having to go off the ground, so he gets a bit of a rest, given our forward 50 entries are so low at the moment. He wouldn't be seeing it all that much, so it's like a quasi rest period down there. And he also loses any tag or any close matchup that he's getting from the opposition. So it's helping him. I don't know whether I guess it's helping the team because he's such an exceptional player, but yeah, it's a good question. Hard one to answer. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw him. Again, we didn't help him out. I mean, no forward. We didn't make forward play easy at all. We didn't make defenders' jobs easier either. Due to the appalling, I think, overall defensive effort from the team, and the way we played in the middle, and it always looked like every time it was in frame. I'm watching on TV. It always looked like the Dogs were outnumbering us in every single frame of play. So yeah,
exactly what's happening. In the air, at ground ball, at stoppages, at contest. It was, an all-round pantsing.
Good way to put it. Sitting Joe, I'm going to say, I think if this was another team, a team doing better, a team with more tall players available, I reckon Nate Caddy might even be given a rest this week. Just because he's been so good, again, relative to his experience, and it's his second year and all those things. But like 2 weeks ago, best game, I think, for the club. He looked tired this week, and I think he might struggle to get near it on the big MCG. I think he needs a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, he carries a big load emotionally too, as well. Like, being that personality that he is, that takes a toll emotionally and mentally. So he's probably crashing. He's probably having a lot of nights and evenings where he's crashing, and he's not well equipped to deal with why that's happening and that's happening. I hope he's like chatting a lot to the club psychologists and stuff, because that's a lot for a player, and he probably feels the expectation on him as well. So yeah, it probably is highly, you're right. He did look tired. It kind of looked like, when you're fighting a battle, a quiet battle inside your own head. It kind of felt like he was tired with the battle, with the fight.
Or even if you're battling like a head cold or something and you're just not as energetic as normal. That's how he looked to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably a good guess. We hope it's not, but at some point, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury to rest these boys. No. We don't have the luxury. Kako probably needs a rest. Reed probably needs a rest. But, we won't have luxury. I just can't wait for the mid-season draft.
I'll tell you one teenager that doesn't need a rest, Roberts.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the 4 that I gave a tick to. He's just, a terrific young kid with leadership written all over him, leadership group written all over him, and he's not your most, prolific speaker or, most articulate, Brighton school kid, private school kid boy, but he is made of the right stuff when it comes to competitiveness, instinct, plays with such football instinct. You know, we always complain we draft and trade for athletes. Well, I think he's a footballer.
Yeah. Mini Bomber Thompson, as I said when I first cast my eyes on him.
Yep.
All right, so moving to prediction. I can't believe I thought we'd have a chance against the Dogs. Bloody hell.
How wrong. How wrong. I mean, it's just begs belief. It was a awful night and, ridiculous.
So we are playing the Tigers, who are also in the doldrums.
Speaking of being terrible, they are terrible. But
let me ask you a quick... I was going to ask you a question.
You go ask.
Whose list would you rather at this moment? Richmond or Essendon?
That's such a good question. Essendon's, purely because their top end, their elder, more experienced players are closer to the end than what ours are. So our age demographic is probably a bit more balanced. But what I was going to say is they are terrible, but they have spunk and they feed off the crowd's energy. And if you let them in, if you leave them in a game, which we are kings at doing,
yes,
they will see the door and they will walk through it. They've got some absolutely incredibly talented kids, but with a lot of kids comes a lot of inconsistency. Their skill is very questionable and their decision-making is very questionable, and they get torn apart on turnover, as we do with our young kids. And probably what I think they've got going for them is their more experienced players are playing really good footy, whereas ours, I think, are down, aside from Martin.
So, prediction. That's a tough one for me.
I think we respond because we've proven that we do. So I'm going with the proof that's in front of me this year and under Brad Scott. So I'm going to win by 9 points.
Yeah, we're good at beating up shit teams. Not beating up shit teams, but winning against shit teams. Probably to our detriment, really.
I can see this game being it'll be one that the commentators and the neutrals complain about because the skill will be so poor. It'll just be turnover. Who can turn it over more and who can capitalise on each other's turnovers? It'll be about who can kick goals accurately.
Yes.
Won't be about who can get it into the forward 50. Like the forward entries, the number won't matter. It'll be who can capitalise once it's in there. And I think Nankervis is having a great captain year. I'm really impressed. I honestly thought he was a bit of a loopy kind of guy, and kind of questioned his captaincy, but he's been a brilliant captain in my eyes. I think he's performed as such. Boston is in good shape. They're getting, pretty good service from Taranto and Hopper and Broad as well. So they've got, Tom Lynch going out will hurt because that's, one of their more experienced going down in their forward line for their young kids down there. But, they're certainly performing better than what our more experienced players are.
Now, long-term listeners will know we used to have a wild card segment, and that used to just centre around the weather pretty much. I think we cut the segment because all we used to talk about is the weather. It's projected to be sunny and actually a bit warmer.
Okay.
So
of course we'll be slipping all over the place. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I think you're right. It might just come down to kicking for goal.
accuracy.
Yeah, I actually predicted on the pod we'll lose, and I'm going to stick with that. I think
Do you really think that, or are you just burned after predicting a win from last week?
I'm burned hard.
You can't.
But
It's a new day. It's a new week.
I think it's very conceivable that we lose. So I'm going to say, and I've said all along this year, said it on our pod many times, this year is about building for the future. It's about securing draft picks. That position was further kind of solidified by the loss of Draper and the fact we have no ruckman. I'll tell you what, Goldie could have been a candidate for Sitting Joe as well. I think he's another guy that needs and deserves a rest, actually, but we can't afford to rest him. I just think I don't know, we're on the nose.
That's what I mean about Paul Peter. Like, it would have been okay to sub Goldie out instead of bringing Shield on to give him a rest, but then you're subjecting yourself to literally nothing in the forward line. No offence, I mean this with respect, but having Langford there is a similar to having nothing, because he's not doing anything and he's not helping in any other way either. He's taking a third defender at best, a second best defender. So, poor Goldie's going to have to battle for 1 week more. Next Wednesday is the mid-season draft. So hopefully some help is coming. And for Peter.
Yes.
So don't predict with your wounded soul. Predict with what you actually believe.
Okay, well, taking a logical, analytical. No, we're going to lose. We're going to lose.
Okay. By how much?
I said 20 points on the pod. Look, I'm going to revise it down to 10.
Oh,
and that might only because they might actually win like 40 points to 30. Like, it could be just a really... It could either be... There'll either be no defence through the game, but I doubt it, actually, because I think, to your point, Brad Scott does have a history of getting them to bounce back. So I think the endeavour will be there, but I just think, we might have one of those awful kicking games too, where we kick like 3-14. I can see that.
Anything like Richmond fans and the club itself and the leaders will see us right for the picking. They will see this as a winnable, very, very winnable game.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they'll probably fire up.
Very fired up. And their fans will be fired up. I know it's our home game, but as a friend pointed out, a good friend of mine pointed out on Sunday, there was 50,000 at the G, North Melbourne and Richmond, because Richmond fans believed that they were going to win that was a gimme.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
50,000.
After sort of decades of being mediocre and still fronting up, still coming along, they get a little taste of success and suddenly they became a fair weather supporter base. Oh, we don't want to travel to Marvel because it's an extra stop.
That's right.
In Flinders Street.
That's right. Mr. Martin's not playing footy, so I'm not going to go. I'm only going to go when we're going to win. And they showed up, and because they thought they were going to, and they almost got the boys over the line, because young kids are impressionable like that. They can't block out the noise as well as elder statesmen can. So they got them up and going. So it's our home game, and we're in the same position. Going to have to do it I think we go in younger than them. Oh, maybe not, because Goldstein and Tom Lynch going out for them will bring them way down unless they bring experience. But if you take Goldie out, we would go in younger than them and more inexperienced, I think.
All right. You ready for a couch question this week?
All right. What have you got for me?
I know your answer already.
Do you? Am I that predictable? I feel so seen.
Yeah, no, this one is predictable, and you'll hear why now. Had a really bad public transport experience last week at the footy. I never want to use it again. Is it justified to use the car everywhere? Had a really bad PT experience last week at the footy. I never want to use it again. Is it justified to use the car everywhere?
Hell to the yeah. Public transport was created by the devil himself, and it is where devil-like humans gravitate. Some.
Well, I take it everywhere. So am I a devil-like human?
Let me finish. It's where some...
Now I feel seen. Sorry.
It's where some go to be devilish and mix in with normal people. To me, public transport, I would rather walk from my house to the MCG or to Ballarat. I'd rather walk 5,000 kilometres than get on a train and tram.
Well, now's the week for it with a long walk.
In fact, I do. When we played the MCG, so I don't have to contend with so much traffic and getting there 16 hours early to get a close park. I park 20 minutes out and I just go for a little stroll and I walk to the G. I park about 20 minutes away and I walk. And then on the way back, I walk back.
So you realise that there's currently polar bears floating on a stamp-sized, a postage stamp-sized bit of ice because of carbon emissions due to people using cars.
You're trying to mansplain.
Care about the environment?
Hey, I'm saving my Mikey ticket. I'm saving the trees with not having purchased or needing one of those since, we're in the, 19th century here in Melbourne and can't do it online. So I'm saving the environment in other ways. And I'm also saving my health because I'm getting my steps in by walking more.
Yeah, and I guess for you, particularly Marvel's quite convenient because you live in the inner northwest, is that right?
Thanks for just giving away my location to...
I don't want to dox you, but...
trolls and the people are going to come after me now the bomber banter started. But I could not hate public transport more. I literally could not. I hate being in a confined box where I'm breathing other people's air. I hate that strangers have to sit so close. I hate the smelling everybody. I hate it. I literally hate it.
I'll tell you one thing I will say is Marvel don't make it easy. They do not make it easy, and particularly the late games, like on a Sunday night, or a Saturday night, and it's 10:30, and you've got to wait half an hour for a train. When it's clearly the time when there's going to be tens of thousands of people pouring onto the platforms.
Right.
I did have one interesting experience so my tram is the number 11, which goes all the way to West Preston. And so that goes sort of on the back of Marvel, or Collins Street. So one day I thought, I'm just sick of the train. I'm going to try the tram.
Okay.
So walk to the tram stop, and I'm waiting ages. And I get on the tram, and I'm just sort of sitting there, and we're going down Collins. And then I realised, hang on, there's lots of kind of Anglo-Saxon people. And I turned to the person next to me, I said, is this the 11? He said, no, it's the 48. I think the 48 goes to somewhere in the inner east.
Okay.
Possibly Camberwell or somewhere like that.
Okay.
And I get on the 11, and sure enough, there's tattoos and piercings, and there's,
all your type of crowd.
Yeah, and it was more very much more people whose ancestry isn't Anglo-Bogan like mine. I thought, these are my people.
Okay.
So it is interesting. You can tell based on the tram where you're going. But no, they
Wow.
don't. Marvel do not make it easier. I think the G has a lot more trains.
Okay.
But yeah, Marvel shithouse.
There
And you
is-
get
to the-
stuck. You get stuck walking to the train as well.
Yeah, and that's my other thing. If I have to walk to a tram stop, if I have to walk to a station, I might as well just walk to the venue and park a bit closer and just walk to the venue itself. Like, what is the point? It's not like it's saving me hundreds of dollars to drive my car versus how much petrol it's going to use versus the ticket. It's just, I just think, I find it pointless. And I'm not a huge drinker anyway, so it's not like it saves me not having to, you know, not having to drive because I want to drink a lot. So to the person who asked that question, it is absolutely okay that you drive, and you don't need to be made of money to be paying for parking. You can do as I do, or you can just go a little bit earlier. If you work from home or work remotely, you can just do some work in your car, go earlier, find a close park that's free in the streets or in the surrounding streets, and there's heaps if you go early enough. Read a book, take a book, go for a walk, go to a pub, a cafe, get a coffee. Is not 100% necessary to take public transport. And the other thing is, if this person's had a bad experience, well, yeah. And at night, especially if it's a woman, like, nah, car, own space, own time. I'd rather sit in traffic listening to my own podcast or playlists than be on a tram brushing, having to turn my back on someone because they're giving me the creeps.
Well, there you go. There's your answer. So what do people do if they want to submit a question to Fiona's Couch?
So obviously, anonymously, most of these come through. So the NGL app is pinned to the top of my Twitter page. What is my Twitter page again? What's the handle?
Is it Fiona T?
Fiona Rose
like
T, I think. Otherwise, just go to the Bomber Banter Twitter page and you'll find me through there for sure. And you just you click on the link that's pinned to the very top. You don't have to scroll. And then that will take you to the NGL page and you just type in your question. And we will help you with random, useless shit like this. Right.
Correct. There you go. Well, on that note,
Oh my God, I've just realised we've done this whole forecast, and not only did I have the wrong backdrop up, but now we've done the whole thing with the wrong logo, with the Bulldogs logo down there. So that is how good I'm going this week.
Well, I thought you were going to say you didn't record, which I've done to you before. So
you have done that to me multiple times. What do you mean? You've done that to me twice.
Yeah. Well, live and learn.
That's how seriously you take it.
Yeah. But no, that's another Fiona's forecast in the can.
Round 11. That wasn't very thorough. I'm very sorry, everyone, but it's
like this is the stay the course period of the season.
Yeah, you're right.
Probably will win this. We will win this week, but we're about to go through some stormy waters. There's going to be waves. There's going to be sirens singing. There's going to be lighthouses. There's going to be rocks. I'm trying to think of all.
On that, have you had a quick look at the fixture after next week? We are in for such a big world of pain. It's not even a joke. As you say, rocky waters, but there's grizzly bears. There's going to be snakes and dragons.
As I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, to quote Coolio, who was maybe quoting the Bible. But it's going to be tough. So this is where we need to just again stay the course, keep the faith, project draft pick, and build for future seasons.
Yeah, and let's just remember. I know the Sydney game got us all excited because it wasn't expected, but let's remember to not be in conflict with what is, and that is that we are rebuilding. We are rebuilding on the run, and we are a bottom 4, bottom 6 team, and we are performing exactly how a bottom 4, bottom 6 team would against top sides.
Yep.
That is all there is to it. Let's not be in conflict with what is.
Agreed. Well, on that very sage note.
All right, Solution. Thank you so much for being here. Another forecast, as you say, in the can. Thank you for your service, and I'll talk to you during the week.
See you then. Go Bombers.
Bye. All righty. We are done for the forecast for this week. Again, apologies it wasn't super thorough, but that's just where we're feeling at the moment. I hope you enjoyed the post-replay review last night, which also wasn't entirely thorough because it wasn't enjoyable at all. But you get what you get and you don't get upset. That's what my 6-year-old niece tells me. So this is what you get for this week. Sometimes it will be good. Sometimes it will be shit. You take me as I am. I take you as you are. All right. Thank you so much for all the support. As the Solution said at the start, if you have not subscribed, please hit that button. Please hit the like button. You may think it doesn't help, but it helps a lot. I will leave it there, and thank you for all the support. I will see you Thursday night for the live team selection.